Welcome to the ultimate Disney tag, as created by Renee, Disney aficionado. I've already checked YouTube and there is one that's already around and about, but it was not nearly detailed enough for me. So, I've invented my own questions because I'm going tag crazy. Righto. So this video will just comprise of my telling you what the questions are and explaining them, because some of them might need explaining. So I'll link up the questions and you may post your responses in relation to this video or in relation to my answers videos, which will come separately because, as you probably assume, I am going to need at least 2 videos to answer these Disney questions because I have far too much to say. Firstly, I need to make a very important stipulation here. We are discussing Disney, so before you give your answers you need to stop and consider, because as a Disney nerd, I'm also a Disney purist, and so I get really snobby and exacting about my distinction between Disney and any other animation studio. So there's going to be a separate Pixar tag. I'm going to create that one, so don't worry, we're not ignoring Pixar. They've got their own tag coming. So note, you cannot talk about a Pixar film, and you also cannot talk about any other animation studios. So please do not list films that you have confused with Disney that are in fact something else. For example, Anastasia is 20th Century Fox, Fern Gully is 20th Century Fox, things like Thumbelina and An American Tail, they're, to my knowledge, they're both Don Bluth, are they? Don Bluth? Are they both? I think so. Whose animation studio doesn't really exist anymore, but he did some doozies back in the day. Just make sure before you answer that you know that you're discussing Disney, because Renee will get mad! Okay, so here are the questions. Your favourite old school Disney musical. So old school means anything before the Renaissance, which was 1989. I think that's pretty much considered the cornerstone of the Renaissance. So anything before the 80s essentially is old school Disney. So your favourite old school Disney musical, animated musical. So that, and I should say, a musical is distinct from the Disney films that have music in them, where a musical is where the characters themselves are singing songs. Second question, your favourite old school Disney non-musical movie. So that can be a movie that has got some music in it, like songs that play in the background or whatnot, but the characters themselves do not sing. And there are quite a few old school Disney animations that, you know, characters aren't singing. So just have a think, see. Your favourite old school Disney live action movie. Now this can be a musical or not, but a live action one. Examples would be Pollyanna, Pete's Dragon, other things. Those are the 2 that are in my head because I grew up on them. Next question, your favourite modern Disney animated musical. That goes without saying. Your favourite modern Disney non-musical film. Again, goes without saying. And your favourite modern Disney live action movie. There aren't that many of those around anymore, but there were a few during the 90s. A lot of them admittedly were made for TV and were pretty awful, but there were 1 or 2 that weren't half bad. And if you recall the Mighty Ducks, that entire trilogy is Disney, so totally counts. Okay, the next question is a composite of several questions in little parts. So your favourite Disney hero, your favourite Disney heroine, your favourite Disney sidekick, and your favourite Disney villain. So list those. This next question is all based on songs. Your favourite Disney love song, favourite Disney I Want song. Now if you don't know what the I Want song is, it's a cornerstone of musical theatre. It's where usually the protagonist is singing about what they want, whatever it may be. However, that can cross over into the villain song, which is another one here, because the villain obviously can sing about what they want as well. But try and make the distinction. Typically the I Want song is attributed to the protagonist, so the hero or the heroine. A villain song and your favourite theme song. So if any of the movies that you love have a theme song, then list what favourite ones you like. And your favourite comic song. Every now and then a good Disney film has a really funny comic song in it. This question, I've got a few really geeky ones in here, so you can feel free to skip some of the questions if you yourself can't think of an answer. But I've kind of put a few of them in if you really geek out over your Disney stuff. Okay, so this next question is, your favourite Disney animation artwork in terms of the design of the film. Is there one that you really love the look of? And it can be old school or modern, or both if you've got a favourite from each generation, if you will. I do have favourites, so that's kind of why I put the question in there. Your favourite Disney couple, romantic and or other. so it doesn't have to be a romantic couple, although if you have a romantic couple as well as like a best friend pairing you love, that kind of thing, feel free to list any of the couples you love in the Disney canon. Here's another really geeky question, to which true Disney geeks will probably be the only ones to be able to answer this, but do you have a favourite Disney voice artist? Again, I do, that's why the question's there. Your favourite Disney franchise. Now this is in terms of a series that has spawned out of like an original Disney film. If there's been something like, for example, The Little Mermaid or Hercules or even Aladdin have spawned into like direct-to-home sequels and TV shows, all that kind of thing. However, you also can have something like, for example, the Princess franchise, the Disney Princess franchise, that spawned into everything and anything in terms of toys and clothing and all such nonsense. So is there a franchise that Disney's kind of taken and ran with that you really like? Who is your favourite Disney mascot? So, you know, folks such as Mickey and Minnie and Donald, Goofy, Daisy, all those folks that we come to immediately associate with Disney works, even though they themselves don't feature so much in things these days, but they've become the mascots of the Disney company, if you will. So, do you have a favourite Disney mascot? Favourite Disney TV show? Now, initially I was narrowing this down to be just something that Disney itself produced, but I'm opening it up to anything that's really aired on the Disney Channel ever. And you can have a live-action pick or several, and an animated pick or several. So there's plenty to choose from. You just Wikipedia like Disney Channel shows, and you'll see all the lists, and you'll be able to go, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. One of the final questions: if you could match any two Disney villains against one another, who would it be, why, and who do you think would win? And your final question is your major Disney crush, male and or female. Who do you crush on, or who did you crush on when you were little and you watched your Disney movies? So I think I've covered everything I want to cover in terms of my Disney questions. Please do answer and take part, because if you grew up on Disney, especially with the second Renaissance, then I'm sure you'll probably have plenty you want to say. And I think that's all for now. I'll list all these more comprehensively in the doobly-doo in my pants, and I'll get to answering my questions myself. Okay, bye! Disney love!